thanks very much. Hi, guys. It's a pleasure to see you all again. How are you doing?
Oh, good. You?
Great. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good, thank you. It's been a while. I think it was San Diego Comic-Con the last time I saw you when we were all in a room for Warworld. So first of
those
all,
rooms are hard. Those rooms are so hard.
Yeah,
That's the crisis. That is the real goal.
Yeah,
that's the real crisis, right?
That is like the
Jeff
war.
passed out there.
So congratulations. This is a storyline that I've wanted to see you guys do for a while, and I was so excited, and particularly the fact that this is, 3 parts and it's this big epic story, and I absolutely loved part 1. Jim
That
and
is the
Butch.
right answer. This guy's our favorite guy. Keep talking. Say more.
Okay, yeah. Now I wanted to come to you first, Jim and Butch, just to kind of talk about how you mapped out the journey for the Tomorrowverse, kind of from Man of Tomorrow up to this point. Can you talk me a little bit through laying out the plan for building towards Crisis?
Yeah, I mean, originally we knew we had to lay out 5 or 6, 7 movies beforehand, and we just had titles for like a few of them. Long Halloween, we obviously knew what the story was going to be. Man of Tomorrow, we kind of didn't. And then beyond that, Justice Society, we knew we had to get to World War II and Earth 2. But as far as where we went with that, to Crisis, it didn't really come about until we were working out the scripts and the story. And then it's like, okay, wedge this character in. We can later bring them into Crisis and wedge this character. So it's all done by not originally we had it fully worked out. It's like as we went along, because Jim was constantly going, I don't know how we're going to get to Crisis. And then all of a sudden he had a bright idea like Stan Lee,
Yeah, I'm just like Stanley standing on the desk,
I
acting
don't
it
get
out.
this crap. Hey, wait a minute.
That's what
What about
Jeff
this
waits
guy?
for. He was like, Jim, could you stand up on the desk and act it out?
Yeah.
I mean, we did know that it was going to be Crisis, and so pouring through those issues and seeing what characters were absolutely vital gave us a roadmap of who we needed to establish in this reality. And amusingly, when we started, the world was so different that we felt like we needed an entire movie, and that was the Justice Society movie, to establish what a parallel Earth is. And by the time we were actually making this movie, everything was a multiverse, and we felt like we were introducing the word. So it's like Earth 2 is another Earth that's just like ours, but different things happened. And by the time it was out, it was like every movie was a multiverse already. But because it takes just that long. But yeah, so we knew the scenes we wanted and the big epic moments that people remember from Crisis on Infinite Earths. And knowing what characters were needed, we reverse engineered back to who should be in what movie and how we could, hopefully make people fall in love with them. So when they're brutally killed, they'll feel bad.
It worked. Yeah, I totally. When the wave is coming towards Earth, I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm anxious for these characters, even though we've only spent 7, 8 movies with them up to this point. And Jeff, coming to you, I mean, the first time you and I spoke for Justice Society World War II, we were talking about the fact that this was the first time you were directing one of these DC projects. So how does that feel for you now? I mean, not only have you brought this Crisis level event to the screen, but you've also been involved so intrinsically with the whole arc up to this point. How does that feel as a director?
I didn't know the complete plan of what these guys were doing.
We didn't know the plan either, so I couldn't touch it.
So
don't tell them that.
It's true though. I mean, Jeff kept asking, "What's going on here, and where's this character going?" Like, just wait, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, don't worry.
That was good. That was good for Jeff. It kept him kind of going on a course that helped him be more spontaneous with some of the storytelling.
But you're right. This has been a whole journey for Jeff to go from first-time director to exhausted veteran.
The space of what?
What are you talking
years?
about? 3 movies in a row of Crisis. I wasn't
It's like
exhausted at all.
this starts with you as the new recruit in Vietnam, like, "Hi guys, how's Vietnam?" You know, and then it just ends in like
After tour number 10, I'm like, I'm fine, guys.
you don't even say hello to the new recruits. You know they're going in the meat grinder.
uh, it was fun because it forced me to also take one movie at a time. So it wasn't like oh my God, I need to do this or I need to do that. You know, as Butch was saying, like a little more spontaneous, and I wasn't trying to keep myself too penned in, you know, in that process. So it was to kind of work with Butch, who would kind of pull me in on the guardrails, you know, on it, like, oh, we can't quite go that way or this way. It put me in a good spot to be really creative with some of the answers that we had to come up with or challenges that came up as we went along, and then kind of see all of that process come to an end like this, where it culminates in this big series of movies, and knowing like, oh no, we need to do this or that with this character, or like, here's the consequences. I was able to, I think, be a little more attached to each one and see where I wanted to do when we got to that crisis. Actually have a little more spontaneous reaction to like, oh no, we should kind of push here or push that or up the drama on this part to make this character feel, and then also be like, oh, let's look at some of the original material and how they died, and like maybe we can play with that spot shot, or maybe we can make something work where we can really add to that. Because you know what George Perez did with a lot of those shots, where you're like, oh, that's, oh my God, it's so tragically, you know, and we're all so attached to it. It was it made it a little more visceral in the process when we got to Crisis, which I think comes across on the screen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
mean, you've got not only the huge ensemble cast, but visually there's so many more characters on the screen and so many more elements than we kind of, you know, have seen in some of the previous movies,
Mhm.
all happening at the same time. So again, kind of just sticking with directing for a second, how did you know how did that differ from some of the previous ones, or did it differ, or is it just a, you know, another day at the office at this point?
Well, I mean, part of it is the same. I mean, yeah, but also like we're trying to honor kind of like a lot what they did in the movies as much as we could, in terms of like, you know, how people died and how things happen and progress in terms of like that sense of consequence throughout it. Um, but you know, it also was, there was a lot of energy that I had during it because when I grew up on it, so it was pretty exciting to do.
Jeff is
Had
one of
to
the few
work with
people who would come into the office, and when we were in during the middle of COVID, it was like working in the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. It was, you know, there was room for 700 people, but it was basically Jeff and I and a couple people on the other side of the building.
Yeah.
So if it was, you're getting really stir crazy, I'd go in and check on what he was doing, and the takeaway is this didn't get easier. It wasn't like, oh, now I'm got it. It's because each movie ended up having another challenge, and then once you were in Crisis, there were so many characters. But I would go in and visit Jeff, and he would show me the animatic, and I'd be like, "Ooh, that's a lot of people." Oh, I guess I did say that, didn't I? Because it's one thing to say these 7 characters are at the tuning fork, you know, and it's another thing to draw them over and over again. So sorry.
Well, Jeff didn't have all the complete models of a lot of these characters. So basically going through the storyboard and the animatic, a lot of these the elements weren't even complete yet. So unfortunately that is how animation is. I know
Mhm.
artists love to complain about it, board guys especially. We never get models. It's like, well, that's how it's always been. I've been doing this for 33 years. I never had models on BTAS. You know, they always came after you finishing the fucking board.
There's also so many characters and they have so many powers that I remember like Jeff is like saying, "Well, this is a hard fight because you know she can fly," and I'm thinking, "She can fly?" It's like, "Oh, right. Oh,
There is a lot of that that Jeff had to go through as far as we had to
Mhm.
find out from DC themselves what some of these characters we just really weren't familiar with. So what are their powers and what do they do and they don't do? Even if they were in the background, we'd still needed them somewhere else eventually.
They also
Yeah,
change. Amazing Man has several different versions of what his powers are. So we just picked the one that
yeah,
was most useful for the movie.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for my time.
You stuck more with the 80s.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
No, you got to say more nice things about it. You're the one.
Well, look, I could say so much. There are so many things I want to say, but I don't want to get into spoiler territory for part 2 or part 3. And so I just thought, let's talk about bringing Crisis to the screen, and hopefully we'll get to chat again about parts 2 and parts 3, and we can dive in a little deeper on some of the big spoilery moments. And I will, of course, heap praise on you because it will be brilliant. I'm sure it will.
I'm supposed to say
Trailer for part 2 drops tomorrow.
Yes, I've just seen the tease for the teaser, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's to come from that tomorrow. But thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure as always. I'll see you again next time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?